On this episode,
And I'd come out to my family when I was in my early 20s.
And how did they react?
Well, they hated me for it, basically. You know, they would never say it that way. That's the way it felt. They all hated me. I was liberal, I was gay, I was in show business, I was everything they were not.
from the coveted corner booth in a little bar in the center of the Coachella Valley Universe, welcome to another big conversation with Patrick Evans and Randy Florence. Gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Big Conversations Little Bar. We are here today at Skip Paige's Little Bar. My name is Patrick Evans. I'm here with my co-host and great friend, Randy Florence.
I'm back.
How are you, pal?
I'm back. You let me back in.
You brought spectators today.
I did. There's people that want to see Patrick Evans at work.
Well, a lot of people would, namely my wife,
Yeah,
but
she'd like to see you not working, at work.
It just hasn't happened. We're also here with John McMullen, our producer. Thank you, sir, for always making us sound good. He edits all the bad parts out. That's why most of these run about 4 minutes. We're delighted.
And they're all Patrick.
Well, just a couple of them. I'm super excited about today's episode because I have known our guest for many years. He's been a frequent guest on Eye on the Desert. And what's even more fun is I occasionally run into him out on the town. And then even more fun than that is catching his snippets on Instagram when he's doing crowd work, which I particularly love.
I'm loving those.
We are joined today by actor and comedian and all-around great guy, Jason Stuart is here. Jason, welcome.
I'm very excited to be on the show, and I still see that you're keeping to that commitment to that wife that you have that no one's ever met.
Randy has met my wife.
I've met somebody who he says is his wife.
Yeah, I don't believe Randy. I don't know him. I don't believe him. I don't care for his shirt. And
well, it's unanimous then.
It's usually at the end of the episode before the guest says.
It looks like I don't know what. Not all the buttons, just one.
Usually the guest doesn't say till the end that they didn't enjoy being with me.
No.
Well, it's good to get it out up front.
Sets the tone for the show.
All right, Jason.
Yes, Patrick.
Tell us a little bit about the beginning of your comedy career.
Well, stand-up came a long time after acting came first. So that you want to start at the beginning. The idea that I wanted to be an actor. I used to watch I Love Lucy on TV, and I loved how funny that show was. And when I was a kid on it, it was on at 6 and 6:30, and we would watch it during dinner, and it would sit on a high chair, and a little TV was on it. My mother would say to us, "If you don't shut the hell up, I'm shutting Lucy off. And you'll eat what I make. This is not a restaurant." You know.
And at that age, was that a threat to you? Were you afraid she'd turn it off?
Of course.
Yeah. It remains a threat to this day. You live not with your mom.
I don't live with my hashtag. I don't live with my mother. I live next door. She lives, below, and I live above, and I'm one over because you don't want to live above a Jewish woman. She's actually right now on her scooter shopping. So if you see some woman today driving around with her boobs pushed up and her blonde tuft of hair going by,
I've seen 5 or 6 people who met that description.
Oh, not
today.
like my mom. No, my mom is unique. She gets more hits on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook than I do. And I say to her mom, do you want to do another video? No, I've already done them. I've done this. I said, just one more. She said, all right, but I'm not rehearsing. My fan likes me the way I am.
My fan.
My fan, yeah. I said, because we have to rehearse to get it in. We have to do it a couple times. She's not the creative sort that she thinks she is.
Oh, she doesn't want to rehearse with you? She just
Not at all. I'm funny. They all say I'm funny. Why do I have to repeat it? Let them get what I did it already.
No cold reads with the mom. Huh?
Not at all.
So from early on, you knew that your mother would be a part of your comedy, but you wanted to be...
I didn't know at all.
You didn't know? No? Sounds like it's pre-built in. But you started acting as opposed to being a stand-up comic.
Right. I started doing community theater in my area, in the Fairfax area of Los Angeles. Occasional school play, Parks and Rec stuff. And then when I was 14, I started studying acting with a guy named Lawrence Park, who was the mailman on The Real McCoys, starring
Walter Brennan.
Walter Brennan,
Oh, my goodness.
And B. Benedict. and he played a recurring role as the mailman, and I was in his class for 2 years, and I didn't miss one class for 2 years, except for the time that Barbra Streisand had her special on CBS, Barbra Streisand and Other Musical Instruments. There was no VCRs then, so I told him I was sick because I could not miss Barbra.
She's threaded through your life.
She was a big deal to me as a kid.
Yeah.
A very big deal, a very big influence and a sense of hope. I remember when Rosie O'Donnell had her on her show and in the 90s, and she just started to cry and fell apart. And Barbara goes, please stop crying. If you cry, I'm going to cry. And, you know, what's really interesting about Barbra Streisand for me when I was a kid, and I don't know her as a person. I've met her once or twice, very briefly. I don't know her. I just know what she represents. So it's not really her. When she did Funny Girl in the movie, she was a Jewish woman who looked like someone that was in my neighborhood, that lived down the block. You know, she was funny, and she was the romantic lead in a movie, and you didn't see that when I was a kid. And she said she was Jewish. Now, when the movie came out in 1968, and I think I saw it in '69, the Holocaust had only stopped for 20. It only been 20 years, so it was very fresh in people's minds. And my dad was a Holocaust survivor, not the camps, but the ghettos and basements and hiding in attics and all sorts of things. And that's where I come from, and I never forget that. So growing up with all that behind me, you could see how much she meant to us and how much somebody like that. And the thing about her that was so clear is that she was unapologetic about who she was.
Yeah.
And to this day, I'm still working on that. Seriously.
Successfully?
No, not all the time.
Not all the time.
I'm going to take a bite, so talk.
Go ahead. You know, we need to
Make it a long question.
We need to introduce Jason to Richard J. Alexander.
Absolutely.
Because
Who's
Richard
that?
J., he's a guest on our show, but he is Barbra Streisand's co-director and producer and has been for 20 plus years.
Yeah. Let's
So
get
how
back
did
to
you
Mom.
transition from acting?
You can't say transition anymore. You know?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. How did you switch?
Well, I didn't
Can you say
switch.
that?
I
You
didn't
can't say-
switch.
No, you did both.
That, and I started acting in plays and all around Los Angeles. And then when I was 19, I got my first guest star on a TV show called Life and Times of Eddie Roberts. And I could not get an agent or a manager or someone to represent me to save my life that had any power. And because I was this little gay kid and I didn't have this voice or this gravitas or this confidence that I had, and in those days, saying that you were gay was the kiss of death. And I don't think I really knew how I appeared to other people because it didn't exist. Who I was didn't exist. I was not anybody. I wasn't anybody. You know, it was the ending of stereotypicals, the Paul Lynns, the Charles Nelson Rileys, all those people. It was the ending of that, you know, that kind of actor that was closeted and yet seemed so gay.
It was sort of a wink at being gay. I mean,
Yes, and that was the end of that. Like Jim J. Bullock, a good dear friend of mine that lives here in the Valley too.
Oh, he's going to be a guest on our podcast.
He was the last of those. And so I was sort of pushed into being that. And that's not what I studied or wanted to be. I wanted to be a great character actor like Dustin Hoffman or Paul Giamatti or the guys that are, you know, people like that. Danny Glover, just people that I just absolutely adored. And people wouldn't let me. And they wouldn't, basically I remember auditioning at the open call for The Outsiders and Rumblefish, the Coppola film, and Zoetrope Studios had opened in the 80s. And I walked in and I was wearing my cowboy boots and my jeans and my big buckle and everything. And I remember, you know, I had my vest on for my graduation. It was a burgundy vest with a shirt that had no collar, you know, those old-fashioned shirts, and my hair was parted down the middle. It was layered. And I was wearing puka shells. I remember everything. And the casting director came over and looked at me up and down and said, "Oh, no, this is not going to work. Thank you." And that was the first time I got what I called the gay stare. And I thought, oh, boy, I'm in trouble. I need to shut up. I need to find a way to disappear. And those years were detrimental to me as an artist and as a human being. And then I had a manager who had didn't want to work for me, didn't want me, and I had this manager who named Catherine James, CATHRYNJAYMES, which meant trouble. And I talked her into managing me. She had seen me at a showcase and thought I was funny, but thought, what can I do with this guy? And she talked me into doing stand-up. She said, you're funny. It's starting to happen. And I thought, I'm an actor. I don't know how to do stand-up. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to do any of this. And I just sort of created a character that with this hair standing straight up and these zebra jackets and this leopard coat. And one of my first jokes was, God, every time I wear this leopard coat, I feel like saying, Wilma, let me in. Why was Wilma so mad? Because she had that one big boob. And then I got on Star Search, and I won one. And I lost the second one to Martin Lawrence. That was the beginning of my career.
In stand-up.
Yeah.
So a lot of entertainers, and particularly stand-up people, talk a lot about how their humor was formed by pain early.
I guess so. I think mine was more formed by crazy. I grew up in a crazy house with crazy people. And
tell us more about that. I mean, I hear about your mom.
Well, yelling, screaming. My father was a Holocaust survivor. My mother was poor, completely poor Brooklyn trash. No education. My mother was 17 when she got married. My father could barely speak English. I grew up with two people that didn't really know each other. They got married very quickly because my mother fell in the shower. And that's why she had a baby a little too quick.
It was crazy how often that happened.
Yeah, the details are in my book. My mom always says she doesn't want me to talk about it, but I do anyway. That's how it started. So I grew up with people that didn't really want to be together, in a family of people that were thrown together in chaos. And I was different than everybody else. I was incredibly liberal. I was incredibly open and willing to have friends of all different sizes and shapings and colors. And, I wasn't just looking for Jewish people.
So as you were breaking into the business, both acting and then into comedy, it was a lot different than you had to kind of eschew or hide the fact that you were gay. Now that's not the case. When did that start to change for you, and how has it changed?
Well, when I went on the road, I became a very successful featured act on the road. And when I went on the road, and you were stuck in what they called a comedy condo, so 3 comedians would be the headliner, the featured act, and the opener. So, and being stuck with somebody for a week doing 8 shows, with only you working 2 hours a night doing the shows together, you spend a lot of times with these guys and talk about stuff, and people eventually, I would come out to people. And I remember one of the first person I came out to was the headliner, Craig. It was the headliner, Trip Wingfield, a Southern boy, and the opening act, Craig Higgins, I believe. And I was the featured act with my crazy little show. And he was the first person that made me feel like it was okay to say that I was gay. And I started to come out to people in my life, And I'd come out to my family when I was in my early 20s.
And how did they react?
Well, they hated me for it, basically. They would never say it that way. That's the way it felt. They all hated me. I was liberal, I was gay, I was in show business, I was everything they were not. So I was different, and they didn't like it.
Your mother has overcome this, clearly.
Oh, yeah, but they all didn't like it as a group, know. So I had to learn. It's like Ava DuVernay had directed a film recently called Origin. It's written, that was from the book Caste, C-A-S-T-E, by Isabel Wilkinson. And that book won the Pulitzer Prize, and it's all about the idea of us creating boxes to live in, who we are. I'm that person in this box. And gay people especially take this box, we redecorate, we make it look good, we learn to work within this box. But what it does is it cuts off your arms and legs, and you're not able to be who you want to be or whoever you're going to be. And that's the way I grew up. I grew up like a weed under a doormat. So I learned how to live like that. And then when I came out in 1993 on the Geraldo Rivera show. and Geraldo. He didn't use his last name then. Geraldo and it was a show called Unconventional Comedians, and it changed my entire life.
How so?
Because I became a national headliner as a comedian, and I had something to talk about, and I was able to be myself, and I came out before Ellen or Rosie or Ricky or Elton or any of the people that are out today.
A lot of people have said that you may have been the first
openly gay,
but you don't think that?
No, not at all. Bob Smith, Jaffe Cohen, Leah Delaria, Kate Clinton, Suzanne Westenhofer. There was a whole bunch of people that broke ground for me. So I'll never, Robin Tyler, I'll never not Michael Greer, Mark Davis, just so many people. So
you get the credit, because you were on the platform.
Well, I was the one that I think that got the most noise from headlining mainstream comedy clubs, because I spent 10 years in the comedy world working within the mainstream system, where a lot of them did not, as much as I did, I think. But acting has always been my passion, so no matter what happens when things slow down a bit or whatever happens, I always say, where do I want to be? And I want to be an actor. I really love being a comedian because it's given me so much, but it's not a world that wants me. They don't really want gay people in the comedy world.
Really?
Well, how many can you think of at the top of your head that you watch all the time, other than me? So those at home, these two gentlemen, these straight boys here, looked at each other like they were, Dumb and Dumber, and they don't know.
He's dumber,
and that's the reason, because especially gay male comedians are not held up, and a lot of the comedians themselves who get into power, we're all damaged in some way. So it's really hard for them to support each other.
That's really interesting to me, because I'd never thought about that.
I hadn't either.
But you wouldn't, because you're straight guys.
But when I
don't think about you that much either.
So you said after the Geraldo episode, you were now able to be a comedian living your true life. Well, from the day before to the day after, how did your act change?
Well, when I first decided to practice it, I didn't really know that I had to talk about being gay to be gay. I thought that was enough, so that was a mistake. So I started being able to do that. But the thing that I did that a lot of comics have not done is I continued to work on the craft and the business of my acting career at the same time that I worked in the craft and the business of my stand-up career. I really didn't stop pursuing my stand-up career in a big way until probably, I'd say between 2010 and 2015 is when I stopped really pursuing it to get somewhere with it, other than just to make money and to have notoriety. Because there was a guy who used to book the Improv, and he probably doesn't even remember this. I'm not going to say his name and embarrass him. But he used to work the Improv, and in 2004, when he became one of the bookers on The Tonight Show, I called him because I used to work for him all the time. And I said, hey, now that you're doing this show, I'd love to be on The Tonight Show. And he said, well, can you do it but without being gay? And I just...
What year was that?
2004.
Wow.
2004, yeah. I said that right.
Yeah.
And
so Jay Leno was the host.
Jay Leno was the host. I even faxed back with Jay. I don't even know if it was him to this day, but they had Leah Delaria was on the Arsenio show. Oh, God, it's so long ago, it's hard to remember. But the idea of having a gay person on the show, everybody always had an excuse for it. Oh, it's not going to work in Middle America because no gay people live in anywhere except New York and LA. We're all here.
That's where bi-coastal came from.
Yeah, well,
now I get it.
Well, maybe the bi people.
He's gay.
I'm taking it out to the next one.
Okay.
We like to keep to the sides. It's New York, LA, Seattle, Florida, Provincetown, Maine. We want to keep to the side just in case we have to jump off at any moment. So that really stopped me. Because it broke my heart. It just cracked me. And I've had a lot of that in my career. Now, I've been doing this. Last year was my 30th anniversary. Now, this May, it'll be 41 years I've been a comedian and an actor. I don't know, when you start being an actor is when you start to do it. The first time you're on stage, or first professional job, I was 16, So it was a long time ago. So it's around 50 years. So I've been acting since I was forever. It's more a part of me, whereas being a comedian is something that I have to go to.
When you're doing comedy, and so much comedy comes, from personal experience. It's experiential comedy. And you watch, like, guys like Louis Anderson, who could use his weight to his advantage. They use these experiences in their lives, but it sounds to me like you could not use being gay.
Not until I came out, and then I was told not to do it, too.
Wow. That's just remarkable.
That is remarkable, especially in those
years. And then
years.
you're told not to. Then all of a sudden, do you have to talk about being gay all the time? And then someone would say, God, he doesn't do that. He talks about being Jewish, politics, his life, his family, but then it depends on how you look at it. A lot of things is too much. I did a cruise recently, and I don't want to do cruises, but it was a lot of money.
I do a cruise for a lot of money.
And I told the agent, I said, they're not going to like me. They don't like me. And they're very, on this particular cruise, they were very anti-Semitic in the things that they said. But it's code. It's like my dad used to say. You're too loud. You're too direct. You're too in our face. And then on top of that, I was the first gay guy to ever headline on that particular cruise. 2004. Oh, my God. What's next? Black people? I don't know. It's
how is
frightening.
The world, it's 20 years later. How has the world changed for you in that regard?
Well, it's changed tremendously because now it's not in vogue to hate gay people or LGBTQ people. When I say that, I mean gay. You're supposed to say queer now, but I still can't get past that. You're supposed to not do that, but yet look what's happening in the world and the country right now, and how people think it's okay to do everything that they're doing, especially with our trans brothers and sisters. The group of people that have the least power, have the most gray area of where they're living, have the hardest time getting jobs, have the hardest time, fit with the physicality of who they are. And there's so many, it's so complex. And it's, trans people are not a tube sock. One doesn't fit all, whereas, gay people, it's a little easier because you were either gay or you were straight or you were bi. There were three things. That was it. Now it's more complex, but people are more complex now. And we live in a really terribly scary time where there's so much anxiety going on. And for those listening at home, if you want more craziness, run down that Trump street. If you want things to go crazy, you want to feel anxiety, you want to not know what's going on anywhere, you want the whole world to hate us, and people don't even realize that if we don't help other countries, we are next. That if we have no alliances and we are out by ourselves, we're a target.
Well, you have a family with history.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's get back into the acting.
Yes.
I read that you said that you described your role on Birth of the Nation as the favorite role that you ever performed. Is that true?
I think it was everything sort of aligned when I did that part. So I'm doing a film about black abolitionist Nat Turner, who was an American who risked his life for other people. So it's and the film was made by black people and Jewish people, Jewish producers, black director, black writers, black actors, so many black people involved, and gay people.
Wow.
The director's star acting coach was a gay guy. And it was, when I was a kid, what I loved is to go to the movies, go in a room, and all of a sudden you could see something from a completely different point of view. I remember going to see Dances with Wolves, and I knew nothing about American history, about Indians, because, we don't teach very much in this country about anything where anybody isn't white and Christian and did something great. We give one page to the Indians and one page to Martin Luther King and one page to Harriet Tubman and one page and then the rest of it is filled with what all the white people did. And I didn't know about this. So what I would love is going to the movies, going to a room in the dark and seeing this. And I saw Dances with Wolves, and I saw things in a completely different way. And even though Kevin Costner played the white savior, But that was 34 years ago. And now, of course, we're doing movies like Scorsese's film, The Killer Moon, and now the point of view is changing, and things are happening very slowly, but they're happening where other people's points of view are coming about our history. And when Birth of a Nation was brought to me, I thought to myself, I'm never going to get this part. It was brought to me by my agent in New Orleans, because no agent in LA would ever put me up to play the part of a white heterosexual Christian plantation owner in 1831. And when I got that part, I remember when they called on the phone, the agent's assistant, she says, "How you doing today?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing fine." She says, "Well, your day's about to get a lot better." I said, "Well, why?" She says, "Well, you got the part." I said, "Well, what part?" She says, "Well, the plantation owner." I said, "Don't kid me." And I just started to cry. It still gets to me.
Wow.
Because somebody invited me to sit at the big table.
Yeah.
And then this movie was this incredible artistic experience with Nate Parker playing the lead. And I remember the first day there when I was doing wardrobe tests and all sorts of things. And I said, could I go down to the set? And I did. And I watched him do that speech that he does from the Bible on the porch. And I went, oh my God, I better get to work because this is real. And when I did the part, I was doing some publicity afterwards for some small gay magazine that was doing a story on me called The Birth of an Actor. And this particular journalist, Tom Sensi, God bless him, he passed away recently, he said, can I call Nate and get a quote for the article? And I said, you can try, but, I don't think he's really busy. The movie's coming out very soon, and I don't think he's going to, stop to do something for just
audio clip,
a gay magazine. Yeah. And so he sent me the article after he wrote it. That's what he used to do, which very few people do, to check to see if everything was, dates and names were right and spelled right. And I said, this was a terrific article. I said, thank you so much. And I read it. And then a month later, he sent me the magazine, and the actual magazine. And he calls me, he said, well, what did you think? I said, what do you mean, what did I think? I read it a month ago. It was terrific. He said, read it again. And he hung up. And I read it again, and he got a quote from Nate Parker. Because in the one that I read, it said Nate Parker gives a quote, but there was nothing there. And Nate had said the things about me, everything that I wanted to be. He wrote 2 paragraphs. He said, I'm paraphrasing, Jason brought into the audition room the confidence, humility, and the sense of humor of and directability. And when he came to the set, he brought in ideas, and he, and I thought, wow, that's who I want to be.
Yeah.
And I read that.
Well, it's who you are now.
Yes. And so that's why that changed my life. And also, it was the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement. And as a Jew, I think I felt really connected to that idea of people standing up for themselves and understanding that particular movement was all about mothers and children and about the idea that their kids were getting murdered. And it was so specific, and certainly other people attached themselves to it with their own agenda, but that was what the movement was for. And I felt like, God, I'm in the beginning of learning something completely different, and learning about my privilege as a white person, how I walk into a room, my Jewishness in terms of my culture of who I am as a human and what I've been through, and the ability to understand other people, and also the understanding of sometimes it's good to just shut up and listen to other people and not give your opinion. It's like, that's what I really learned a lot.
Did you?
And to show up for other people, which I am a big proponent of.
That was an important movie. Did you know at the time?
No.
No?
Not at all.
When did you know and appreciate what that movie did?
When we were at Sundance.
Yeah?
And people stood up for 10 minutes and applauded. And I was, I'd been to Sundance 3 years in a row. I was there for the Ira Sachs movie that I was in. I had a little part in it. It was with Fred Molina, Marissa Tomei, and John Lithgow. And then I did Sean Baker's film Tangerine, which was the most film, the first film done on an iPhone, which I had a bigger part in. And then when I got to Birth of a Nation, I had a supporting role. So I was 13 or 12, I think, on the call list, and I was out of 100 actors. So I was invited to everything without having a 3-letter agent. It's because I showed up and I wrote a piece. I had a Huffington Post column then at the time, and I wrote a piece called "Coming Out and Full of Gratitude," showing up and full of gratitude. And I remember that all of a sudden people were talking about it, and then we won the jury award, and we won the which is the Showbiz folks, and the audience award for Best Picture. And then this film just became this big deal.
Yeah.
And it was life-changing for me.
Has it impacted the types of things that you've been able to look at since?
Mm-hmm. I've done probably 30 jobs since then. I've played detectives and all sorts of different roles.
And nobody's trying to
mafia guys.
So they're not sticking you in a box.
It's
the
always
box is over. But the problem is with the box that I am in, because I didn't have a series when I was a kid, because I wasn't in a big movie when everybody went to see the movies, and I didn't have a series when everybody watched 3 networks or 4 networks, and that was it. I don't have the roots that a lot of other people have, so I still have to fight for my notoriety, my semi-celebrity, to be treated in the same fashion as a name actor that others do. And I don't have a 3-letter agent. And when you don't have a 3-letter agent, you're not going to get... I was doing a show with a young gay comic who had a 3-letter agent, and he said, I got a part on this show, The Mirror, the Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, yeah.
And I said, do they fly you there? He said, yeah. I said, really? I said, what's your part? I thought it was something very specific. He said, I just played this gay assistant. And I said, wow, who's your agent? And he was a 3-letter agent. And that's how you get that. Wow. It's not about your talent all the time. It's about who you're with and what somebody thinks about you. And not whether someone likes you, whether they like you and they want to do something for you. They can like you and not want to do anything because they don't feel safe.
It's a good point.
Or there's nothing attached to it. But I mean, a lot of people, I do understand that a lot of people would want to be in the position that I am in. So I understand there's a hierarchy to that, and that I'm very grateful and lucky to be where I am.
That's good.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me because when we first got to know one another, you would come on with me. It was usually to promote a comedy show,
stand-up show,
and
or my series. You were really helpful with my series Smothered. I did around 3 different probably episodes, and that's a series that I did that's on Amazon called Smothered. It's about these 2 guys who've been in a relationship for 30 years who hate each other but can't afford to get divorced.
It's terrific.
Co-starring Mitch Hara, co-produced by Mitch Hara, and co-written by Mitch Hara with I together. And we just got 11 indie series nominations.
Wow.
So we should come back on the show to
You need to come
that.
back. But it's funny to me because I will see these other roles because I met you and kind of know you first and foremost as Jason Stuart, the comedian, and then I would go and watch some of this other stuff.
Well, they don't know. People are listening. You have a show here in Palm Springs, so I would come here to do a casino or a theater or a club, and that's why. So they didn't know that. And so you'd see a clip of something, and be like, oh, we just did that one thing or something.
But it's always amazing to me because, and I think it's a testament to your acting chops, because when you're on you're always kind of in character and very funny and
because I'm selling tickets.
Right, you're selling tickets.
I gotta sell tickets.
If
you're not funny, they're not going to come.
First thing he does when he walks in, he goes, and near the end of the segment, ask me about my mother, because he's always got a new. Always. But then I watch this stuff and like you're playing. The heavy. You're playing you're really a very, very talented actor.
Well, thank you. I don't know what to say, but thank you. And do you know someone that can help me?
Randy can help you.
I've never known an actor that you complimented that just said thank you and then stopped. That was interesting to watch.
Well, I think that I've been told that I have too much humility, but I believe that's my partner on the not in life but on series. He says, I don't like it, humility. I don't care about that. I'm great and everyone should love me and I'm ageless. And
my humility is what I love most
so we're
about
completely
myself.
different, but I don't know. I come from that. I remember seeing Carol Burnett speak at the American Film Institute when I was a kid, and she had this gratitude, this graciousness about her, and it really touched me. The idea, and also the idea of giving back and supporting people. Like, I've mentored people for over 25, 30 years. Let me think. Around 25 years, yeah. So I used to coach people for free all the time. I didn't start charging until COVID, when we lost everything. And I do, because I believe in the idea of giving back and being supportive of others.
You've also been really involved with AFTRA and SAG during all of the stuff that was going on over the last few years.
I created the LGBTQ committee 20 years ago. We just had a meeting today. It's so funny because we're getting back to our committees after the strike. And I started that because there were so many out actors that were not out and were frightened. And I would meet them at Outfest or any of the film festivals. And I wanted people not to feel alone, because I feel alone a lot. That's my go-to. And I think it's because of my upbringing and being in a family of people that were all so different.
Still to this day you do?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be lying if I said I didn't.
How did the strike affect you?
It was bad. I got to say, I'm not going to lie anymore. It was COVID, I got through it, and then the strike hit me hard. Because I have great dreams and hopes and artistic ideas that I want to do. Like, now I'm working on a film that I'm going to do next called Redlining, about generational wealth, about a black family and a white family, and who gets the house when somebody dies, and why somebody gets the house, and the idea that people get to live and have a better life, and how that goes down. And when people always say, why don't those people pull themselves up by their bootstraps? Well, maybe
just get a job.
Maybe somebody doesn't even have a bootstrap, or doesn't even know what a bootstrap is, or doesn't know how to work a bootstrap. I cannot tell you how many actors I've coached that have no idea, who they are, or gay actors who want to play all different kinds of parts but don't realize how they come across, and that you have to work on that, or choose to be just that if you want to do that. And also, I differ from a lot of other acting coaches, though I don't do it very much. I only do very few people. But I differ in the way that I think you should start at the top and work your way down, instead of at the bottom and work your way up.
What do you mean by that?
Well, because there's always someone that's going to push you down to the bottom. That's the way it is. But also, at the same time, to be great and to go for, to really, like right now, I'm really working on my craft again. This year is all about that, and the idea that we do self-tape auditions in my house. Like, I have one person helping me at 5 and another one at 6 for this movie role that I'm going to play. This I'm a mafia guy of some sort who's from the South, and he has a tattoo on his head. He looks at you, Randy, and just wants you to wipe that stupid smile off your face. Don't you laugh.
I'm scared
at me.
now.
Well, don't you laugh at me, boy. You do what I tell you.
I'm waiting to be told what to do.
I'm in.
Yeah, that's
the thing. Like, you are so versatile, because we just laugh hysterically when we're on eye, but then you can turn around and do that.
Well, there's only 5 minutes or 4.
It's true.
That was good to see, though.
And then you'll have someone on, that wants to tell you to come to their school drive who just got on. I would just rather show a piece of paper.
So tomorrow on Eye on the Desert.
Now, be careful, Jason, because you mentioned that you do coaching, and Randy is now deep into the acting bug. He's really good. He's taken this class with Terry Ray, and he's going to ask you to coach him.
He's already seen enough where he's prepared for the answer. Yeah. No, thank you.
No, I think that's great that you're taking a class.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And there's so much of it in this town.
It's really important to coach with people and to be with other people and do that.
You talked about mentoring. Are there actors who have not come out that have talked to you about that? And so what kind of advice do you give them?
Well, number one, look at Matt Boomer. He used to be on that show Suits, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
He wasn't really that interesting. He was on what I called a hair and makeup show, and he's just this good-looking guy, and no one really cared. And when he came out, he's now an Emmy-winning, nominated, actor. That if there's something that's going to come about, that has to do with the gay world, they're going to call him. And he's also doing some straight things on occasion. But he's done so many different gay roles He just did Fellow Traveler, the series on Showtime. He was absolutely fucking brilliant. His performance was just electric. Way past anything that I've ever seen. If I can ever get to that point, it just, and he has the hours now, and he was given the opportunity. Now he is himself.
Yeah.
Is it difficult when an actor, and you've gone through this, I mean, once you come out as gay, is it difficult to get cast in straight parts? I mean,
Sure, because that's where they see who you are. And it's not because now, I don't think people do it purposely. I think that's what they see. So you have to have the tape, which I have, to show them. Go to jasonstuart.com, Stuart, and you can see a bunch of tapes with me playing completely different kind of parts. Everything from a crazy husband who's like a wife, and to a plantation owner in 1831, to detectives, to different kinds of shrinks and art curators, and what else am I? I'm a Polish guy in something, and then I'm a guy who talks like this, and he runs the mafia. And then there's another one with the even deeper voice, and he's the one that's a nightclub owner with Ella Fitzgerald. I did that.
That was pretty cool.
The guy's a comedian.
That was really good.
Well, that's what I wanted to be. So you work on your walk, your way of moving your hands. Like today, the audition, I'm not going to move because I don't have to.
And you've decided to play it like that? Or?
I'm working on it. When I came here, you saw how distracted I was?
Yeah.
Because I was in it. I was in the process, and I was just somewhere else. And then I also was dealing with tax things at the same time, and a voice job I have to do tomorrow. Or a play guy talks like this, very grand, and he's a fashion designer. I'm doing this voice thing. Someone that's very, very much about who he is, and what he's talking about, and all sorts of things like that.
Sounds a little like Michael Childers.
And who is this person?
Somebody who sounds like that.
This is a very famous photographer.
Yes, he is. He lives here in Palm Springs.
Took that picture.
Oh, that's right. He did take that.
Oh, my God. That's Andy Warhol.
That's Andy Warhol.
God, I would love to hear what Andy Warhol would say now if he were still alive. Man, I would love to hear that.
Well, he did say everybody would be famous for 15 minutes, and he was predicting podcasts.
Yes.
That's what he was doing.
I think he was wrong, because now everybody's famous all the time.
Well, that is true.
And nobody's famous. What he said created a reality that sort of squashed everything. So
everybody's famous on social media.
Yeah. Until they ban TikTok. Then it'll all be over.
Well,
could you imagine? The only reason I want TikTok to end is so we could all just go over to Instagram or Facebook and put it in one place. It's exhausting.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It's so tiresome.
I wouldn't miss TikTok. My kids have been now they're better, but they were too involved with TikTok.
Can't they do it on Instagram? The same thing.
They can, but TikTok was they figured out a formula that's different than Instagram and even Reels on Facebook. Like they figured out the formula.
How is it different?
It's very captivating what TikTok, like the stuff that rose to the top.
What?
Those little.
I see with it. Somebody falling down. Jake Hunter is a kid that I mentor who's my friend. He's like 30-ish. He looks like a young Richard Gere, and he does all these things, and I, of course, I'm always the angry dad in it. Always. Give me that back. Randy, shut the hell up. No, you're not going out with my daughter. I always like that. Yeah. One was about it feels like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm all the time. Yeah.
You're Larry David 24 hours a day.
But not Larry David. Worse. More like Vince Vaughn. Larry David seems powerless, like you just want to push him down a flight of stairs.
That is true. That's the way I feel every time I watch that show.
I'm a little afraid of,
Yeah, he's a little more threatening.
I think so. He's really tall. I met him.
Vince Vaughn? He's a big guy.
I met him at an Oscar party. I spent some time talking with him.
I like him. He's still around. Vince Vaughn.
I'm aware. But he hasn't done anything good since Swingers.
That's not true.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not picking on Vince Vaughn. He's bigger than me. I don't want to do it.
Yes, he is.
And so you've got the movie you're working on.
I've got that I'm working on. I have Smothered Season 2.
And when is that already out?
What you have to do is go to smotheredtv.com. You can watch it on Amazon, YouTube, Reverie, Apple TV, Samsung TV, Tubi, Lech, whatever it is, all these places.
Got it.
And you can see the whole thing. There's a playlist on YouTube. You can see it for free.
Oh, I love that too.
Pay the actors, pay the artist, Randy, for their work.
Somebody's paying.
You'd have to pay $20 to watch the whole thing.
Oh,
both
okay.
seasons.
Oh, that's going to be
Too much for Randy. Too much gay people.
Retired.
Randy's a retired banker. He made.
Didn't you save any money?
He
No.
saved all of the money. You should watch him. He lights his cigars with $100 bills.
So he's an idiot. That's crazy. That's not good.
No, you didn't even need to hear that story to know I'm an idiot.
Well, why would you do that?
I'm an idiot. How fun was this? We had a director, a writer, a comic, an actor.
Well, I have another movie coming out
What's the movie?
in the fall. It's called Garlic Parmesan. And it's like a straight boy comedy like Napoleon Dynamite. I play this guy that runs a really bad improvisation company in West Covina. And I didn't have, when we were doing it, they just cast me. And then this young girl was sort of my partner. And then so in my mind, I made her my daughter. And I thought, oh, I'm a gay dad. That's what. So that's why I started, but without saying anything about it. So I did that movie. And then I have a stand-up special that I did. It's going to be coming out in the summer called Laugh Proud, hosted by Jasmine Creighton, who people know, a wonderful trans actor. And she's terrific. And there's literally 8 other comics who I've never heard of, who are all brand new, who are just wonderful and different and BIPOC and, liquid and fluid and in a dish. And I'm a pot holder and I don't know,
So there's no boundaries on the topics.
nothing. It's just so great, I'm a little teapot, everything. I'm so amazed by them. Their confidence and their ability to say whatever they want to say. I feel like the most boring guy. I actually wore a sport coat. I was like, wow.
Whoa, that's why I retired.
And,
I could stop that.
just waiting to hear about other things. I'm up for a Coen Brothers film.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
I'm waiting for Bradley Cooper to call me.
A lot of us are.
No, you're not. You're not even on the list. I know you can't be. If you are,
Ryan Gosling.
I'm going to kill myself. Are you straight? Mm-hmm. And what is it with Bradley Cooper and Ryan Gosling?
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, but I'm uncomfortable now.
No.
Why don't you say?
I'll move my chair back here a little bit.
Say Greta Gerwig or.
Oh, I think she's gorgeous too.
Yeah, but you didn't say them.
Or Margot Robbie. You could have picked Margot Robbie, not Ryan
Had
Gosling.
we been talking about them, I would have admitted how gorgeous they are.
She was.
You threw out Ryan Gosling all on your own. There was no. That was.
I did just kind of pull that out.
think
She was
tapped
so
into
brilliant
something
in
here.
Babylon last year. She was so incredibly brilliant in it. Nobody saw it. And she was just, it's just such a great movie. The nightmare of, it's the other side of Singing in the Rain.
Oh, that's a good point.
It really
I hadn't
is.
looked at that. Yeah.
Nobody here watched the movie, not one person.
No, I saw it. I just hadn't looked at it
At the
that
end
way.
of it, right? The end of it. It's the other side of that. It's this fun movie they made about people, just trying to get a job and how we got rid of everybody, all the Jews, all the gays, all the people of color, and then we just went back to white Hollywood, and everything became these movies with, Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant, and everyone talk like this, and so Grant, it's so great to see you, and oh, you're here. Everyone tell him Randy's here. Isn't he wonderful? He looks so handsome. Oh my God, is that Patrick? Oh, I love that tie.
And that cigarette holder, it's 2.5 feet long.
Everyone talks like that. Patrick, God, what are you doing here?
I've been asking myself that for some time.
And that movie is really about what happened, and how this movie about people who could barely speak English, and people, and all these women that were directors and on the outside of Hollywood, and what would happen. And I think it's Dorothy Arbor, I think her name was. She was one of the most famous directors who was an out lesbian. I mean, I think who was it? That's who played him. Oh God, the Sheik. Who was the Sheik?
Valentino.
Valentino was gay or bisexual in those days. Everybody was. It was like not a big deal. It was just like, oh, whatever, because there was no context for having a life as a gay person. And then, of course, Billy Haynes, the famous Billy Haynes, a silent film star, who I tried to do a film about 15 years ago, maybe 20. I got the rights to the book about him called Wisecracker.
Wow.
And I wanted to get Rupert Everett to play him, and I would play his best friend, the older couple, the gay couple who helped him when he came to Hollywood, and he was Joan Crawford's best friend. He helped Joan Crawford start her career, and then when they kicked him out for being gay, she helped him become one of the most famous interior designers in the country, where he did the Annenbergs, the Reagans, the Windsor Castle, and it was just a great story of how a gay man survived in this world post 1970. I still would love to do that, but now I'm too old for anything.
You're not, because you're still getting all
play.
kinds of great work. So
That's
clearly.
the hopes. Maybe someone will listen to this. And
Well, that's our hope, too.
That's our hope.
That is our hope.
Maybe
That's why we had you here.
Maybe even Duvernay will call. I loved her film. You guys should see Origin. It's so brilliant. And you should see Bradley Cooper's Maestro. Did anybody see it?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Well,
Oh
he's
my
brilliant
God!
in it.
What?
It's a kind of a hard film to watch, but
Really?
Yeah, because
Did you see it on the TV? That's why, right? Because you're too lazy to go to the movies. And
I
pay a
am
couple.
too lazy to go to the movies. But
Was it
I just-
hard for you to watch?
Well, I just
Don't
like
you-
it was such a tortured relationship,
Oh yeah.
and I mean, like I find those films hard to watch.
That just seems so real to me.
I could stay home for this.
I mean, the artistry. Yeah,
I can just talk to Randy about his argument with his wife.
That's
Really?
right.
See, I watch movies like that and I think, oh my God, my life is so much better. It makes me so much happier. But when I watch something with some romantic comedy and everyone's in love, I think, oh God, I'm crying for the whole thing. Thinking, what a mess my life is. I'm so alone.
I want a little of that.
I'm the exact opposite.
I watch a lot of just pure escapism, whereas my wife, like the so-called
Your
made-up
fake wife, yeah.
she loves to watch like crime dramas and these really weird, perverted.
My mother loves those shows those reality shows where there's always somebody getting murdered. Then I said, "Do you want to watch the Scorsese film?" No, it's too violent. I said, "Mom, those are real people, and this is fake." She says, "Yeah, but this really happened. I have to. That's important."
Well, next time your mom has to come join us.
Oh, I don't know. That would be great, wouldn't it?
It would be crazy.
I never brought her to an actual interview, though. She's done some Zooms with me, but I think she gets very impatient, with if you don't ask some good questions or something, and if it's not about her constantly.
Well, thank you for not getting impatient when we didn't ask good questions.
He was a little bit impatient.
No,
but
I
we
wasn't. It was fine.
You were terrific. Thank you very much. Jason Stuart, you can go to jasonstuart.com.
STUART. Stu Art.
Oh, there we go.
And also
SmotheredTV.com. And if you forget that, just go to jasonstuart.com and click on
the link,
The
Smothered.
link Smothered. Yeah, it's right there on the site.
Thank you so much for spending an afternoon with us.
Thank you for asking
Really
me.
appreciate
and
it.
thank you, John.
Our guest, Jason Stuart, our producer, John McMullen, my great co-host, Mr. Randy Florence.
Did we get to all the questions?
I think we did.
Oh, my God.
Can you come back next week?
No.
No, he's busy. He did this once. He's not going to do it again.
Now that
This
I've
is
seen
it.
you, no, I can't.
We will be back on your favorite podcast platform with another edition of Big Conversations, Little Bar. And, of course, subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Big Conversations, Little Bar. Recorded on location at Skip Paige's Little Bar in Palm Desert, California, the center of the Coachella Valley Universe. This program is a production of the Mutual Broadcasting System. All episodes are available from BigConversationsLittleBar.com or from most major podcast portals, including Apple, Spotify, and Amazon Music.